Hey all, this is Nader here with NastyNateTV, and today I'm going to show you a deck I'm going to be playing this upcoming online tournament. I'll be streaming the tournament on my Twitch account at twitch.tv/the_nater, Naetor. The tournament starts at 4 p.m. GMT, noon Eastern, and 9 a.m. Pacific. So grab your popcorn, we're heading to the movies. Okay, this is the deck I'm playing. It's a TNG deck. Right now it's sitting about 72 cards. I might take out a couple here and there, but for the most part the deck will remain the same. And I'm calling it the movies because you are trying to solve as many movie missions as you can. So the primary one being this new mission that came out, this 50-pointer Base and Rift. Really good mission, and it enables a 2-mission win pretty easily. The other mission you try to solve is Baku Planet. So really, as TNG, you're solving the Nemesis mission, and then you're solving the Insurrection mission. Another mission option to solve is Shakari. So this is from one of the TOS movies. And then the fourth mission is Kritasa, really just to get out the ritual Code of Ushan because you're not going to be getting extra counters throughout the game. So you'll notice there's two 50-point missions, so an obvious natural play is to get Reprimand, and I'm playing 3 copies of that. Now to solve the missions, I always like to have some good non-uniques that have a lot of the skills. And because Base and Rift is the one you're always going to be able to solve, that I figure that's probably the most important one to have good non-uniques. Fortunately, there's an incredible non-unique for the integrity side, and that's Tagarin. So this is a premier non-unique personnel, and he has honor, leadership, officer, security, and transporters. Well, the mission requires officer, security, transporters, and honor. So he's got 4 of the 5 skills. He just doesn't have the double honor for the mission. So he is incredible here. Other ways you can get it are with Lopez. So Lopez has honor and security, and Leon Su, she has officer and transporter. So these two in combination give you the same 4 skills that Tagarin has as well. And they're all cheap people, pretty easy to get out, all 6 integrity. Now, because you're playing TNG and since you're only solving 2 missions, McCoy actually becomes a really strong play here. Especially if you go to Base and Rift first. It normally has pretty high attribute requirements of 44 integrity. Well, McCoy's going to make that really easy. Actually, if you have kind of the right combination of people, you can solve Base and Rift with just 5 people. I have one copy of the Enterprise J in there right now. Thinking about adding a second one because that's the card with McCoy that enables the 5-person solve of that mission. Now, you'll notice Base and Rift is worth 50 points. Baku Planet is worth up to 40 points if you don't have a treachery personnel, and you generally shouldn't. So where do you get the other set of points? Well, the obvious one, and the card I thought makes the most sense when making this deck, is Hurried Departure. So Hurried Departure is a really good event for this deck. It makes Base and Rift worth 10 more points, so that gives you your 100 points right there. And it also makes it a little easier to fly back and forth from. So with most of the ships in the deck, you can you can go out and attempt Base and Rift. If you fail it, you can fly home, go back and get some people. If you have Hurried Departure, you can fly back and solve it and attempt it that same turn. Now you'll notice there is some text on the card that has the requirement of having you throw in a personnel that costs 4 or more into your discard pile when you solve it. So because of that, and the personnel work really well with the deck, I'm running the full gambit of battleship personnel, or nearly the full gambit. So I got Picard, Data, Beverly, Tasha, and importantly, I got 3 copies of this new personnel that came out, Shelly. So she's really great since she makes all your personnel cost less. And because you're not really generating extra counters and there's no really way to get these out free, I'm not running disadvantage into advantage or common ground, she's really good to get out. Now, once you get one of her out, I'm running 1 copy of this card's 2nd edition. So this lets you download a personnel you command, and if they're an alternate universe, you can draw a card. So ideally, you can get one Shelly out, and then play your second edition. You can download a second Shelly and even a third Shelly with this card before it gets removed from the game. Not really sure how great second edition is, but figured I'm going to try it out. Now, one of the other tricks the deck really pulls off is to use Guinan in combination with the Edge of Forever. So Guinan gets you 5 extra points. Normally, in many cases in the past, so you would use those 5 extra points to play at what cost. You are not, since you're not getting extra counters with Code of Ushan, you're also not giving your opponent really the opportunity to play at what cost as well. So giving your opponent 5 points isn't too bad in this situation. And what do you get from the Edge of Forever? Well, you bring out the Big Daddy ship, you bring out the Future Enterprise. This ship is incredible, great in this deck. The 10 range is unbelievable, lets you fly all around your missions with it. And importantly, the game text says when you solve a mission that requires honor or leadership, you get 5 points, 10 if both. Well, wouldn't you know, Base and Rift has honor, and Baku Planet has honor and leadership. So even if you don't get the hurried departure bonus points, and you are just flying the D around, you're going to get 105 points just from those 2 missions with the D, and that's going to be how you win most games. So you probably normally get up to 105 points, up to 115 points if needed. So you can deal with Pivotal Destiny or player playing Dominion pretty easily. Now it's TNG, so it runs really the kind of tried and true combination of Loaxana Troy with These Are the Voyages to get some extra draw. Loaxana is really, so I'm running 3 copies of each. She's really great as well to just toss away at Base and Rift, since she really costs 1 and you don't have to lose a lot. She also has the honor, which is pretty good in the telepathy. And you also have some other 6-costers if you don't draw, or like Data, and I actually have another 6-coster in the deck that I'll show you in a second. So the other kind of mission solving tricks it has, I'm running 2 copies of Montgomery Scott. So you can see now I'm going to get all the big name people out here. I run 2 copies of Montgomery Scott and just an ETU. So Scotty, another 4-coster, which in a pinch you can toss at Base and Rift. But he also lets you prevent and overcome dilemmas that require programming transporters. And I think this is becoming really strong in the current meta. It's always been really good, but it's becoming really strong in the current meta because a lot of people that are playing the Bread and Circuses dilemma pile, well, a lot of those dilemmas require transporters, and so Scotty with an ETU is just an automatic prevent and overcome for that. Other ways to deal with certain dilemmas you don't like, I'm running 3 copies of Oh Nothing Happened. So you can actually use the Edge of Forever to trigger Oh Nothing Happened as well. So kind of a few ways to get that going. Primarily, you're going to be wanting to call out an issue of trust with that, unless you're convinced you need to pull out another specific dilemma. The reason is because issue of trust makes kind of all your missions harder because you have a lot of honor in the deck. Base and Rift itself requires 2 honor, and Baku Planet itself requires 2 honor, so otherwise an issue of trust will just be an auto stop or nearly an auto stop at those missions without it. So I'm running that. So some other kind of cool tricks. I'm really starting to like a lot of these events that cycle for you, and I'm almost running the backroom buzzards for Fed, but I'm running Mutual Advantage instead, and this is pretty cool because you're running a bunch of extra copies. You're running 3 copies of Guinan, 3 copies of Loaxana Troy, and so this is a really good cycle card for you. But what it also enables is you to do some cool stuff. So what you can do early on in the game is you can throw out, so running 1 copy of James T. Kirk Original Thinker, you can throw him in your discard pile pretty early in the game and not consider him. And then because you're running 3 copies of the Edge of Forever and you're scoring 105 points with your Enterprise, you'll have an extra 5 points in the game. So even after you get the Enterprise out for free with Guinan, so you have an extra 5 points. You can use your second Edge of Forever later on in the game after you solve Base and Rift to bring out Kirk. So that's going to kind of slingshot you into the game. The way I think the game's kind of going to work out is you're going to be stalled at Base and Rift for quite some time but the minute you solve it, you're going to have a lot of personnel, a lot of big personnel. You'll be able to bring out Kirk, um, and I think you're basically going to solve this, fly to Baku planet, and probably win the game. So it's going to kind of slingshot you in this game. Kind of related to with this combo, I'm running one copy of this guy Klim, Dokachin. So he kind of importantly another six coster to use with These Are the Voyages. And you can, if you're not getting your Guinan the Edge of Forever combo out, and let's say you drew your Future Enterprise, you can throw it in the discard pile with Mutual Advantage, and then play Klim to pull it right back out into play. Really good card for this. Some other just kind of good personnel. Because Tashi actually gets a little cheaper with some past people, and because some of the past people are good, I'm running different past ones. I'm running Morgan Bateson, who's pretty good overall. I'm running Jack Crusher, also pretty good. And I'm running Sulu, who's okay. He's got archaeology, I guess, which is kind of just the most thing that's notable about him. Also four-coster, also can help you with some range issues if you have, because you really want to have the Enterprise at every mission when you solve it, because those bonus points are going to be really nice. Otherwise, you're probably going to have to go to Shakari, which make winning the M just a little harder. Other great personnel, Ceto Jaxa, just kind of a solid personnel. Her skills are also great for Base and Rift. She's got honor, security, and transporters, so she's hitting 3 of those skills herself there. I'm running O'Brien, Con Officer. This deck doesn't have a ton of astrometrics, so he's a good add for that. But also he adds the span to his attributes, so he's going to be a 9 base at Base and Rift, plus plus using the J and McCoy. He's going to make a lot of easy mission solves. Also running Jellicoe. Jellicoe's great in general. I don't have a lot of dilemma. I don't have a lot of support with the dilemma pile. Probably the one dilemma I'm specifically going to add because of the draw deck is Swashbuckler at Heart, which pairs incredibly well with Jellicoe. Right now I'm running one copy of Luther Sloan. Probably going to add a second copy because he's so good. In addition to just him destroying vents, which is kind of everyone knows. One of the things he's really good at in this deck is he has the 2 intelligence, so he can actually hit the alternative requirement of Base and Rift. If you want to have one away team have all your honor personnel so that they're susceptible to Issue of Trust, and have one away team that has no honor in it, you can run just him in there, and an Issue of Trust will not auto stop you at Base and Rift. So that's the deck. Gonna look forward to playing it. I've been thinking about this for a while since Base and Rift got spoiled. But let me know what you think in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you Saturday.